All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Running with Wolves. I've got a tan. I have been traveling this summer. It's been a lot, but I've done a couple different personal, just recap episodes, and you guys have really been loving those. They're the ones that you guys messaged me about the most. So I figured that we would do a little summer recap episode so you guys can kind of put this on if you're driving, if you're on a walk, you can listen to me yap. And then on top of that, I kind of want to talk about what it has basically taught me about business, mindset, all the things. So I've got a lot to share with you. I wrote down all my notes because I actually can't keep track of where all I have been. So let's get into it because we've got a lot of things to talk about. So like I said, this summer was literally a lot in the best way. I don't think that there was 1 month where I was home for more than 2 weekends. I have literally been on planes, ranches, beaches, team retreats, and somewhere between tequila shots in Tulum, which Savannah should never do shots, and it was crazy, and client calls from a rooftop in Santa Barbara. I honestly had one of those CEO clarity moments, which is, and I know that this sounds so stupid because you're yeah, no shit, Savannah. I really can have a business that gives me so much fucking freedom. And that was a wake-up call for me because that has not been my experience up until this point. But I can only have that if I am willing to build it around how I want to live, not how everyone else says that I should run it, not based on what's standard, not building my business and then building my life around it. It really took such a different approach, but based on the life I actually want to live. And it's really funny because the last personal update that I shared with you guys was me kind of talking about me moving and me meeting my boyfriend and things like that. And we'll have a little therapy talk for a second. It was funny. I was having a conversation with my therapist and she was basically talking about how for almost the entirety of me building this business, I was in a really toxic relationship, right? I'm talking mentally and emotionally abusive, right? I had this conversation with my therapist and she was basically telling me, because you had this experience where for the majority of you scaling your business, you basically were in this really toxic relationship, you almost have created your business to keep you busy as an escape almost, right? It's your security blanket. And once I was not only single, but then also in a relationship with someone who actually integrated me into their life and we were having fun and going places and doing all of these different things like a freaking normal couple. And I was brought into this wonderful community that he has. And I have so many friends now. We have so many different things happening, right? And I also just felt more free because I'm okay, I don't have someone who's going to be where were you? Why'd you go visit your best friend? Who was there? Were there other guys? Unfortunately, I think we can kind of all relate to that. Once I was in an environment where I felt safe to go do things and enjoy my life and go on girls' trips and not have to check in every 30 minutes because it's hey, I'm not talking to other guys kind of thing, right? Once I was in that environment, I was oh, I don't want a business that I have to work from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. and weekends in order to continue to keep up with and in order to continue to scale. And I also don't want to be spending 2 hours every single day doing my marketing, responding to client Slacks, doing all these different things. I want something that gives me freedom and flexibility and generates a fuck ton of money for me, but also allows me to live the life that I built this business to live. And so I really made a lot of those changes to my business. I mean, you guys kind of watched that evolution of me letting go of my big team, keeping kind of my core solid team, scaling in a different way. And that has been so freeing and so cool. So I want to kind of break down in today's episode, everywhere I traveled this summer, but then I was talking about the behind the scenes of how I ran my business while I was gone, the real business lessons that came with every single trip, and then also why I'm what I'm doing differently moving forward to keep creating space, money, and momentum without sacrificing my life. So let's do a little trip recap because this was so fun. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little further back than summer because this, like 2025 in general, has literally been a whirlwind. Like I said, I literally wrote down, please look at all of, it's just insane. This is like, these are all the places I've been. Okay, so number one, in February, I went to Cabo for Valentine's Day with my boyfriend and our other friends who are couples. And I did not work while I was there at all. It was so cool. I took time off for like the first time in forever. I didn't even fucking log into Instagram. Didn't log into Slack, no nothing. And for those of you that know me, you know that's actually really, really difficult. Just like sunshine, margaritas, and a reminder that I literally did not start my business to freaking grind and constantly be working, especially almost 6 years into it. Absolutely not. We're not doing that. And what I also feel like I realized, because coming back, I was so much more creative. I like fell back in love with my business, right? Because I had a little bit of time away from it. And I was like, wait, I fucking love what I do. Like I forgot how much fun this is. And I think it was a reminder that like rest doesn't ruin your momentum as a business owner. In fact, it's actually a really crucial part of scaling. And honestly, if your business falls apart or if your sales fall apart and you're gone for 4 days, what the fuck are we doing? Because you clearly don't have a business or the right sales strategy. Then in March and April, I think I went to Santa Barbara 3 times in like 3 weeks. Don't ask me why. It was like a series of weird events. I went there for my boyfriend's work trip, and then I went there for a girls' trip that got planned super last minute. And then on top of that, we went to Solving, which is really close to Santa Barbara, and went to this like little dude ranch basically for my boyfriend's Christmas gift. And on each of those trips, I feel like I kind of realized something, which is like, so I think I shared this, I don't remember if it was in this episode or a different one. I think it was in a different one, but my boyfriend is in tech sales. He's really, really great at what he does. And every single year they do like a rewards trip basically. So like, hey, if you sell X amount, then you qualify for this. You get to go for free. It's usually incredibly nice. It was at the Ritz in Santa Barbara. And you get to bring a free +1. So I was like, absolutely. But on that trip, I watched him get rewarded for his drive and what he had built. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, corporate companies reward you and incentivize you for growth, for momentum, for like how much effort you put into creating your success. And I actually didn't for a really long time do that for myself because I'm always looking for that next thing. I'm always like, okay, cool. I got to this level. Now what do I need to do to get to that next level? I don't actually enjoy what I've built. And I don't necessarily think that that's something that's a bad thing, especially in the very beginning of your business, because there's a lot of people who are like, cool, I made it to 10K months. I'm going to sit here and enjoy it and like pat myself on the back for everything that I've done, which is great. And I think you absolutely should, but you don't want to stall there, right? To me, like I never want to stall at a certain level of success. I always want to keep building, but I think along the way, I can create space for myself to be like, hey, that was fucking cool. Like, I think it takes people saying it to me. Like it took me meeting my boyfriend for him to be like, sorry, you make how much money? You do what? You created a business? Like I would literally, when we first started dating and I was meeting all of the people in his world, they'd be like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm in marketing and sales. Cause I was like, I don't want to lead with like, hi, I'm a CEO of my multi-million-dollar company. And he was like, no, ask her what she does. And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm in marketing and sales. He's like, ask her what her title is. Like, I'm CEO. And they're like, oh, you're a CEO. Okay, tell us more. Ask her how successful her company is, the kind of people she works with, blah, blah, like that kind of shit. Where I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Like I've done something that not a lot of people can do or have done. And I think it's really hard to sit back and recognize that, especially when you're in the online space and constantly getting the message shoved down your throat of like, well, I did X amount of money in X amount of time and like, look at me and blah, 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 which I think is great. And also at the same time, I think that it causes more of that mindset and that mentality of like, okay, on to the next. Like, cool, I've accomplished level 5, on to Dragon Slayer level 6, right? It's like, it's just this constant hamster wheel of how do I get to that next best thing? And so I think it's really important to pause and reward yourself for what you've done. So a bitch went out at our team retreat that I'll talk about in a second, and I bought myself a Bottega bag because I never spend money on myself. I always spend money on my business. I always spend money on my team, and I needed a new purse, and I had been wanting this one specific bag for so long. And then I went into the Bottega store to literally just look at it. I wasn't going to buy anything. And the lady brings out, sorry, we're really jumping timelines here, but the lady brings out this tote bag, and it was the most beautiful tote bag I think I'd ever seen in my entire life. And it wasn't even that expensive, number 1, for Bottega bags. Number 2, it was less expensive than the one I was gonna get. Number 3, it's fucking reversible. So it's like a leather woven bag on the outside and like a brown suede on the inside, and it's just drool worthy. And I was like, you know what? I never spend money on myself. So we're going to do this. And I did. And it was fantastic. Okay. So then I took a girls' trip to Santa Barbara as well. And I think that this reminded me how important it is to do things for me every once in a while. I mean, this is kind of a continuation of that other conversation, but like how important community is, how important girlhood is, girl time, having the right friendships and relationships as a business owner, having people who are on the same page as you, who have the same level of drive as you. That trip was just like soul food, I will say, because the friendships that I have in my life right now, number 1, they will drag me for filth if I am not living up to my potential, but they also allow me to be exactly who I am. Like, I never have to pretend that I am anything but myself. I never have to be cool. Because like I'm not a cool person. I know I look cool like on social media because of the photo shoots I do and stuff, but I'm a fucking nerd in real life who just like loves data and loves marketing and loves sales, and I make weird ass jokes and I dance around when I'm happy and I get the zoomies and I talk too much. Okay? Like that's just who I am, and the conversations I have with my friends, the experiences I have with them, like I never have to be anything that I'm not. I never have to sit there and like put on this air and be cool and like take really cool Instagram photos and like do all these different things. It's just like I just get to live life and love my friends and constantly be encouraged and uplifted. And then we went to the Dude Ranch trip, and that was a gift that I got my boyfriend for Christmas, and that was like our first trip that we got to take, like just us, which was really, really fun since we'd been dating, because we've been on a lot of trips, but it's always been with friends or like work trips or things like that. And that got me like back to my roots, and it again reminded me of like how important rest is. It was so peaceful, you guys. Like there was not a lot of cell service. We went horseback riding, we played golf, like we just like laughed and had the best time. And on top of that, the last night that we were there, we were basically, there was like a whole it was kind of, how do I describe this place? So it was like a bed and breakfast, but it was almost like a small boutique hotel. And there was like this massive lawn, and they did this like massive cookout where you just like sat underneath the stars, and they had a live band, and we like ate and we drank. And then it started raining and people were dancing in the rain. And we were sitting there like on our balcony watching all of this happen. And I think it just taught me to be present again and like just like take advantage of the moment and love life again. You know, it's like, when am I ever going to be sitting here dancing in the rain again with this person that I love in such a magical place and a magical environment? So that trip was really cool as well. And then lastly, we went to Santa Barbara again to visit my boyfriend's brother and his sister-in-law, because they do not live in California. And so there's not a lot of time that I've gotten to see them, and we got to spend a whole night with them. And it was just like so fun and so magical. And again, it just taught me the importance of relationships and family and people who just like ground you and are appreciative of who you are. And then on top of that, we went to our team retreat, which was Carmel by the Sea, which is in Central California. This was so fun, you guys. So it was like a really quick weekend trip. Got in on Friday afternoon, left on Sunday morning. Friday afternoon, I got to treat my team with like goodie bags and like just all this different fun stuff, right? Then we went to a restaurant that Taylor Swift and Gigi Hadid had dinner at, which by the way was fucking fire. It was called La Bicyclette. If any of you have ever been there, if you haven't and you're going to Carmel by the Sea, go there. 10 out of 10. Cannot recommend enough. But we got to go, and it wasn't like a team retreat where we did a lot of work. My team works together so well. And honestly, there's not a lot of times that we get to see each other in person. And so it's really, really important to me to be able to just like spend time bonding together. And that night we got to talk a lot about what we think about ourselves and the relationships we have with our family and our friends and our significant others and what we want out of life and how we're going to make that happen. And it was genuinely like so beautiful. And that trip, I think, made me really grateful for the team that I have, honestly. It reminded me of the fact that like who you select to talk in your ear, to give you their opinions, to work on your team, that is what makes your business successful. Because I promise you, I cannot do all of the things that my team does for me to make my business run the way that it does. And the fact that they like put their faith in me and believe in my dreams, believe in the mission that we are currently implementing and like trying to bring to life is it makes like the responsibility that I have towards them very, very real. And it made me very grateful, like I said. And honestly, it reminded me that like your team should add to your lifestyle, not stress you out more. Because there was not one moment during that team retreat where I was like, oh, I feel like I need to like be the boss and like make conversation. I got to sit back and just like watch my team members bond and enjoy each other. And I got to bond and enjoy my team members. And it was just like easy and simple. So be very selective about who you have on your team and who you allow into like your universe, basically, because it was just absolutely amazing. So that's kind of like what I did this summer and also like a little bit this spring. But let's talk a little bit about what was happening behind the scenes, because here's what I wasn't doing. I was not constantly launching. I wasn't glued to my phone. I wasn't skipping out on any joy to hit a specific revenue goal, but I also wasn't absent. I was selling strategically through systems. I was creating content that converted while I was away. I was leading my team without having to be in every single decision. I was like, hey, here's what I want to do. What do you guys think that we need to do in order to make that happen? And I trusted their expertise. I was auditing data in short sprints instead of living in spreadsheets. And everything, honestly, that made this summer possible for me really came down, I think, to like two things, which is clear messaging that speaks for me and gets people to buy, and a strategy that sells without needing my face slapped onto an Instagram story 24/7. This summer honestly taught me like I am not trying to scale while doing more. I'm scaling while designing my business better, my marketing, my sales, my systems, my processes, designing offers that deliver ROI and flexibility, right? Designing content that nurtures and converts. Designing launch calendars that fit around my life, not dominate it. Like, for example, I am filming this in the very beginning of August, and guess what? I'm going to Tulum in a couple of weeks, and there was a launch that we were potentially going to do like right around the time that I was traveling, and I was like, absolutely not. We're doing it after I get back because I am not going to be working while I'm in Tulum. Thank you so much. And honestly, like when I did that, My revenue stayed high. My energy stayed super grounded. My clients got better results, and I actually liked my life and my business. And yes, you can have both. So let's talk a little bit about what is next, fall and holiday season. So in October, because my travel schedule is fucking insane. In October, I go to New York for one of my girlfriend's 30th birthdays. In November, I go on a girls' trip to Scottsdale. In December, I go back to Minnesota for Christmas, where my boyfriend and his family are from, to celebrate with them, and then come back to California for New Year's Eve, and it's just going to be absolutely crazy. And guess what? I'm not slowing my business down either. In fact, we will probably make how much money I made last year in the last 5 months of 2025 because of how I'm changing my business, how I'm changing my strategies, and how I'm scaling intentionally, because I structured my systems to sell while I travel, not the other way around. And honestly, that's the whole fucking point. It doesn't matter if you're traveling or spending time with your kids, whatever it is that you want to be doing in your personal life, you can absolutely balance it with your business. Because you want to build a business that works for you, not against you, and actually brings your dream life to reality, because that's why you started it in the fucking first place. It literally just comes down to structuring your business, systems, processes, offering, pricing, marketing, sales properly so that it works for you instead of against you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little chit chat with me. I'm considering incorporating some more personal episodes like this, or that are just more from my personal life in general, into the podcast. So let me know if you like it. Let me know your recommendations for New York. Let me know your recommendations for Scottsdale for while I'm there. I will show you all the content on socials, but I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for chit-chatting with me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.